Good day, good people, and welcome to Real Chicks Rock presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dawsberg, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. It is the first... No, is it the first Sunday of the new year?
It is.
It is the first Sunday. It has been a minute, my good people. Listen, I had a very busy month, December, momming, being a mom. I was a momager. I had a couple of things and events that I had to be at, galas for my son. So I'm sorry that I couldn't be here all the time, but I didn't leave you high and dry. I had some really good replays that I left you with in the month of December. But it's a new year.
Yes, it's a new year.
And we turn the corner when it's a new year. We got so many things that we want to accomplish and do. And I just want to get right into it. But first, let me welcome all of our new listeners. Thank you for joining us. Let me give you a little bit of background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. It's all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service engagement, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the arts. And we have been doing this particular podcast talk show, if you will, since April of 2016. So I ain't new to this. I've been doing this for a minute, and as you can tell by my excitement, I'm always excited for every show, and today is no different. Today's topic is the serial entrepreneur with my guest, Kevinizz.
Yes.
Hi, Jay.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing so well.
You're beautiful. You know that,
You
right?
are too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Takes one to know one.
I recognize it.
Let's get into it, Jay, because you are a serial entrepreneur, so there's a lot of ground that I want to cover and talk with you about. But first of all, where are you from?
I am right here from Atlanta, Georgia.
Let me touch you.
Yes.
You're rare.
Yes.
There's not a lot of AT aliens. It's a lot of transplants.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
It's a lot of us here.
It's a lot of you beautiful people here, right? What part of Atlanta? Southwest, North?
So Southwest and Decatur.
Okay, where it's greater.
That's what
they say.
That's what they say. I'm a Metro Atlanta lady.
Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of background about yourself, Jay. Like, what type of work do you do, or your businesses? What do they cover?
So I consider myself like a full service small business consultant.
Okay.
So everything that really touches your bottom line is where we can kind of help. We hold your hand through the process of your business startup, or if you're already an existing business and there's just you just want to just grow your business. There's maybe some leaks. You just may need some team building to just curate a better work environment. Yeah. So, and all of that affects your bottom line at the end of the day. So I have a great resource of people that I have connected with my firm that is able to touch on all these areas of your business.
Wow. Let's talk about it. When you were my assumption is you did work in corporate America, correct? How long were you working in corporate America?
I started in corporate America very young. I did a lot of things simultaneously.
Okay.
So I think that's also what I am the epitome of serial.
Come on.
I did a lot of things simultaneously. My career started very young.
Yes.
However, I think I got into corporate America when I was about 18 years old.
Okay. You remember your first job?
First job, yes.
With corporate.
With corporate, yes. I was in the hospitality industry. Okay. And I started off as a night auditor, went into sales, thought about hotel management. Okay. And then I took a little bit of a turn and started doing a lot of temporary work where I was getting hired by, recruiters and things like that. And I would take a lot of temp work, which really is what propelled me. It gave me an opportunity to work at a lot of different companies and learn a lot of different industries. Okay. And I was able to advocate for myself as well. So I actually buy myself out of the temporary contracts and have them hire me as my own business. So
you talking dirty already.
I know.
Wow. Wow. Why the hospitality? Was it just because the market had jobs at that time, or you had an interest in hospitality? Was there any particular reason why that was your first job?
There was an opportunity for me to travel to different locations and kind of like learn the ins and outs. I thought that would be a good, you know, as far as like the sales and things of that nature, I thought it would be a good path for me. Yeah. But it was totally different. I actually started off in the beauty industry. My mother was a celebrity barber. And I grew up as what we consider a shop kid.
That's why she fine,
So my very first career was hair. So, and it came very natural to me.
Yeah.
So,
and then you switched into hospitality.
I was doing both.
Doing both.
Yeah, I was doing both. I was doing.
And
both.
hospitality can have ebbs and flows. Like, I know it's very hard work.
It is.
It's a constant grind. It could be a 24/7 if you're not paying attention. You could find yourself always at work because there's always something going on. There's a need, et cetera, et cetera. So you were doing some temp things, right? Learn to buy yourself out of that role, maneuver, and do that kind of stuff. And so you're in corporate America now, right? So you're successful. So when you decided to leave corporate America, what type of job did you have at that particular time?
I was doing a dual role as an independent contractor, where I was doing accounting and sales in the foreign market. They gave me a book of business, international book of business for this particular company. And I really enjoyed it. It allowed me to kind of like touch and understand the different sales where I was able to travel, which again, something
That's
that
what
I
you
love.
wanted to do.
Still doing hair, but at the time I was really kind of breaking away from getting behind the chair. In a sense. And then the company started going through acquisitions. And again, I was actually selling myself through the acquisitions, and I was able to. I still maintained that role for years.
So Jay, so give me an example of how you would sell yourself, just so we would know. Like, what's the conversation like? What do you kind of say to the people that are coming to take over? How do you make yourself of value?
I always kept what I call my ears to the
all right,
ears to the street of the to the doors. I kept my ears in, and I always position, and it's all about timing and positioning. I've always leveraged companies that I've worked with to, like I said, propel, to learn as much as I could, find out what those companies' weaknesses are, how they could get it. And that will always frustrate me. Like, there would be areas where I'm like, they could do so much better. And that was kind of like tugging at me, because I knew, you know, running business as a young woman, I'm just full circle. The same thing that I started doing in just corporate and just in my everyday career, I started as also a child. It was always a hustle. So to just try to, you know, learn, take the information, leverage that, take it somewhere else, and sell that same skill set so I can learn something else. I took that to the legal realm. I took that to medical. I got my footing in different industries to see. And then I left, and I took all that knowledge with me. So when you come to me with a particular industry, it's not many industries that I'm not fully aware of. Jack of all trades, master of them.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
I make sure that I master and I soak up as much, and I have them pay for the certifications or the training, and that's what set me apart from other people, you know, that I was working with, is the fact that I knew who to position myself in front of to say, hey, I want to learn this, I can do this, you know. And I spoke up in meetings, and, you know, I just really advocated for myself.
yourself. So how did you, Jay, when did it hit you that you said, even though I'm making things happen for me in corporate, I'm ready to be my own entity, I want to be a full-time entrepreneur? How did that hit you? When did you know that it was time?
I knew it was time very early on. So for me, my motto has been to position yourself to be able to save and put that money towards where you're trying to go. And I started a family very young.
Okay.
So therefore, it wasn't about, I had to change my path that would fit best for my family.
I heard that.
And so if that meant me working my own business and going to corporate America, it was funding the one thing to help me exit. So that was always my strategy.
Okay.
So I was, it was no longer, you know, probably because I left corporate America officially. I think it was, I want to say 2018.
Wow.
So, and I started my firm in 2011.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I started, and it's been 27 years of me being in the beauty industry altogether. So I started very young. So I was a bookkeeper, you know, for a salon by the time I was 17 years old. She didn't even know I did hair. And one day, I you know, had to help her shampoo her client. She was running late, and she was like, "What just happened?" And then that's how I really propelled that career. But that's where I learned a lot of my work ethic, and I was about 17 years old then. My spirituality, my work ethic, learning how to keep the books, you know, how important it was to have team meetings and, you know, build morale. I learned that in the salon.
Wow.
You know, and then meeting all these different clients, because, you know, that's a networking opportunity
all
as
the time,
well.
all day.
And taking on little things with them as far as like learning the real estate market, learning, you know, just different areas of business by surrounding myself with people in all these different facets and avenues. And that's how I was like, oh, I'm interested in it. Let me go try that.
You're just you're a bright light. Most people in those spaces, especially in dealing with hair, it's too much, because after a while, because it's a long day, right? You got a lot of different clients and customers coming in, and it's a very intimate space because you're touching someone, touching their hair, you're taking them to the shampoo bowl, that whole situation. And after a while, people get tired of that. You know, they've been doing it for a long time. They're standing on their feet. They're tired. And the fact that you looked at it as an opportunity, as a networking vehicle, to learn different things, to have different types of conversations and meet different people, really is like a really good thing to do, because oftentimes for most of us Black and brown people, we say we want to be entrepreneurs, but we don't know how to start that. We have no really idea what that means. There is a transition, right? A lot of times when you listen to rap artists or people in the music industry, they'll say they used to sell mixtapes in the trunk of their car. Can't do that no more, right? A lot of people are still dealing with cash. We are becoming a cashless society, right? So the model and the way that we used to hustle and grind, even as a side thing and still going to work, has changed, right? We have to learn how to be more virtual, more digital, right? It's just a different way to try to make money, or just to be an entrepreneur. And so for those that are listening, or those that say, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't even know how to start, right? Because now everything's social media. So people are thinking, to be an entrepreneur, I need to be in the social media game, maybe have a channel, get enough views and likes, and then sponsors will get on board, and that's how I get my money. Unfortunately, that's not the route for everyone.
Exactly.
Right? So the fact that your business, and I'm a name just a few, you're a consultant, an accountant, a success coach, an investor, a travel business owner, a tax strategist, strategic planner, and interim CFO. I'm like, you're like a whole umbrella. So what would you say to someone, Jay? It's a new year. They said, enough is enough. I really need to start planning how I want to become this entrepreneur, but I don't know how to begin. What's the first thing you would say to someone?
The first thing I would say is, you don't have to do this by yourself.
Okay.
And I was going to say, book a consultation with me. Because what I've learned, I think what I want to say one of my strong points is attributes is being very personable, you know, and just pulling out of you what your vision is. And a lot of time, oftentimes, the person that wants to get started and has not yet, they truly don't even know what they want to do. They haven't formulated that. And that's what that discovery call is about. It's about me learning a little bit about you, getting a little personal, and just kind of finding out what would be your niche. Because people's like, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And honestly, I'm very real with them. Like, that's probably not your thing.
Okay, now.
You know, that's probably not your thing. Or they'll say, you know, I'm ready to quit my job today. Well, let's talk about that, because sometimes, like I said, we need to position ourselves to, you know, use that company or that position that we're in to leverage and set the, you know, the foundation for this new venture that you want to, you know, step upon. So we come up with a strategic plan, and we just start checking off the list, you know, and we hold your hand every step of the way. It's like I feel that your company that we're starting or that I'm getting into is also like mine. Okay. So we want to grow with you. I want to be able to take your business, help you scale by the fact that my firm will be able to handle your accounting or handle your bookkeeping. We have lawyers on staff, I mean, on payroll, you know. So, we can handle all of that for you, where you're not spending so much money out, and nor are you working backwards. So, and maybe you're just not completely ready to go, but let's get the business started. Let's get it formulated. Let's have it build some tenure and time, and you know, have it ready, because you just never know. You know, let's just say you started a t-shirt business and you have a little heat press at home. You don't have the whole, you know, list of equipments, but you have enough to say, somebody's like, hey, I need 2 shirts. You know, press me out 2 shirts. And now you just made $50. Right. But then how are you going to invoice it? Where's that money going? Right. You know, but if you're already in position, and all thing you have to do is click a little button and send them a little payment link, it's $50. But $50 is $50.
$50 is $50. We're not going to turn our nose up on that. Money is money.
But let's start positioning ourselves where, you know, let's get the business formulated. And that's a good thing. Sit on it, you know.
That's a good point, Jay, because oftentimes when we do have these ideas, maybe we're doing too much initially. So I'm going to ask you, when is an ideal time to become an LLC? I noticed that your company is titled as an LLC. We hear a lot of talk about that. Sometimes we're a entrepreneur for a very long time and didn't even think about becoming that. So ideally, when is it a good time that we should think about becoming an entity like that?
I would actually start it from the beginning. Okay. I would start it from the beginning. Okay. You can start a business, of course, being self-employed, being your own entity without having the LLC. But again, if I called you up today and you have a product that you really could deliver, you know, and you're not set up properly, then, or I'm saying, hey, I have an opportunity for you, but they need, you know, your W-9 with your corporate information on it. They want to know, or if there's funding available, there's a grant available, but these are some of the things that you have to have in place. I just say, go ahead and let's do it immediately. If the funding is available, you know, $100, $125 to get that LLC started, let's go ahead and just get it started. Gotcha. And that way you're set up. Take the $50, let's go open up a business bank account, and so that you're ready, you can start collecting and building capital at your pace, you know, based off what we discussed. But I think immediately separate your personal from your business.
Awesome. Like I mentioned, you have a lot of hats for your company. Would you recommend, as you talk to people and you understand what their passion is and you're having these strategic conversations, would you recommend that somebody have various different streams, or maybe focus on one thing at a time? Or is it a case-by-case basis?
I think it's a case-by-case basis. Ultimately, having multiple streams of income is definitely where to go.
It's very attractive. Very attractive.
It's very attractive. you want to.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have that and build that legacy, and it definitely comes in multiple streams of income. But you definitely have to pace yourself.
Yeah.
You definitely have to pace yourself, and we have to fit what's based off your lifestyle, what's based off the budget, and there's some things you definitely can do simultaneously.
Okay.
So you don't want to stretch yourself too thin.
No.
I'm guilty of that.
No, I'm pulling back. Like I told somebody no just this morning, and we'll talk about it offline. But as a mom, you said you were a young mom, and that's another thing, because with this brand, Real Chicks Rock, of course, 65% of the people that support this brand are women, the 35% are men. Yay! But whether you're married or not, the mom title is just what it is. And so kids have needs. They got to get them to school. There's homework. There's this and that. You work for corporate America. How do you carve out the time to be this entrepreneur? What would you suggest to moms trying to balance it out? How did you balance it out?
Oh, it's so real. It was challenging balancing it out. I watched my mom, may she rest in peace. I watched my mom work so hard and spend less time with her kids. She missed a lot of time. And watching my mom was really a learning experience for me to ensure that when I became a mom that I did have that balance. So like I said, it was important for me to be able to carve my own way from the beginning and try to schedule myself accordingly. I was married, when I had my daughter, but when I divorced, I switched gears, and that's when I went back to the salon. I opened up a salon. I was constantly at her school. I definitely carved around time, but she became a shop kid too. Okay. And then it still, even though I thought that I was having a balancing act, being present in her life, we were spending long hours
in the shop.
And then I was, again, I would take on, roles in different corporate jobs, on a temporary basis. Again, building my exit strategy. And so it still became a process where I was like, okay, I have to pull completely away. But being able to set my schedule accordingly allowed me to really truly balance. But it took some time for me to learn that. And it was because I didn't have that support system, and you have to have the support system there, have the people that really can help you to balance that, because you can't really do it on your own.
I think oftentimes we are trying to be these super people, and we don't want to inconvenience other people, so I don't want to be a bother. I'm going to try to do it all your own, and you wear yourself out. You do. And you wear yourself out from the inside out. Yep, guilty. And so you learn to say, I need help, or pause, or slow down, and I think the other thing too, at least I'm going to speak for myself, I felt that if I didn't do it, I wasn't productive. Like sometimes we feel that if we're not doing something, we're not productive. Productivity could just be in rest. Yeah. Right? Because having rest creates a freshness of mind and clarity for you to be able to do the next day or the next thing. And I think most of us keep going until there's just nothing left. And then maybe sickness takes our body and makes us sit down and those type of things. So I think that as single parents or moms or entrepreneurs that are doing this dual life, right? Because we still got to go to work and then we're still doing this thing. We're learning to try to figure out what's important and how to keep things balanced for us. I want to ask you, Jay, about your exit strategy, because some of us are getting older, right? And we're like, enough. We are having the thoughts in our mind, enough is enough already. We're grateful for the job because it does provide food and shelter, clothing, all those necessities, right? The benefits, right? But it does sponsor and promote your passion, whatever that is. And so we don't know how to create this exit. Like, how do we exit? Is it savings? Is it that we need to have enough money set aside? Is it really feeling that our entrepreneurial endeavor is really about to take off, and so we really need to commit 100% into it. Like, we just don't know how to strategically plan an exit. What say you, Jay? What do you think we would need to do?
That's a really great question. I think for what has worked, what I've seen work in the past is just really sitting down, like I said, and just really mapping out what it is that you truly want to do. And then putting together a budget of what that's going to look like. And then also finding in just your everyday expenses, how you can scale that, and maybe cut back on some things. Every year towards the end of the year, I revisit any type of contractual obligation that I'm in, down to the cable bill.
Yes, those crooks.
Right. If there is something new that I qualify for, I call their bluffs too. I'm like, hey, I need out. And they're like, what? Let me get the retention department on the phone. See if I can offer her $9.99 instead of $19.99, So I do whatever I can. And I suggest that as well, to start scaling back, and then your families as well. Bring them involved. This is an opportunity to start teaching your kids about savings. It's an opportunity for you to kind of show them and express them, be communicative to your family, your household, of what you're thinking and what the plan you have for their lives in this change, so that they can support you in that. Little people can be great.
They can help too.
Be a great help. And so it's just really just finding that budget in place, scaling on personal household incomes, kind of writing that down, and let's come up with a plan. And from there, we'll be able to determine how long is it going to take based off the where you are career-wise and how much revenue that you're really bringing in, and can we take a percentage of that revenue and start pumping that into the capital of the business. That's nice. And you can have, in most companies, you can pull that out. They can split your check 6 different ways in most cases. So there's opportunity there to do that, but again, it's really based off making sure that you contact a professional, especially in that instance, and have them help you work through that strategy.
We just don't know enough professionals like yourself, Jay, in the sense that I think that people say they're a coach, but I'm like, coaching of what?
Of what?
You know what I mean? And talk is cheap. I think you need the tools, and it sounds like you clearly have tools in place for your clients, for yourself, to help make this happen, because oftentimes we're entrepreneurs and we don't write nothing down.
We don't write nothing down.
There's not a business plan. There's not a mission statement. There's not goals or objectives. There's not a budget. Maybe not.
Gotta have the budget.
We fall off on it because, unfortunately, life does happen, right? And then we're picking from other places and pulling from other things, and then it just runs off the rails. And so then we don't even really feel like we're being the entrepreneur that we believe we can be or should be. Right.
And that's basically not having the tools. Like you really hit it on the head. It's like I said, you asked me earlier, like how soon to get an LLC. I say immediately. And I say that because we can start building business credit. We can start doing all these things while you're still over here balancing. And we can balance it where it's not too much. But it's just starting to really position yourself, and like you said, writing those goals down, coming up with it. And that's part of the strategic plan that we go over. It's the goals, it's the mission, and then you have us to help to put the business plan together. Like, we take a lot of the hard work and the stress off of you. Oftentimes, a lot of things that I do, it's not that it can't be done, especially from my I want to say my higher revenue clients. It's not that they can't. They can afford to not. So when it comes to reading the contract, when it comes to applying for funding and things of that nature, they just pay for convenience.
I know that's right.
They pay for convenience, and and then the jargon of it all, the fact that we have people in place, or someone like myself that can understand the different jargon to help them get some of these contracts, to help them get funding and things of that nature. People just, they see it, they read it, and it's like Chinese. in a sense. It's another language in essence. It's another language.
It is.
And that's why we're here to help you.
And based on the area, the language is different. So it's not even the same language. Now, Jay, did you find that the timing of you really stepping out and doing your business, now here's COVID. And now everybody's getting these grants. Everybody's like, I got a business. I do this. I do that. Did you find that more people needed your services? Or they was like, nah, I got it. I'm going to do what I do. And now Uncle Joe and Uncle Sam and everybody, uncle and auntie, is like, we done gave you this money. We want it back. Where you at? Hooty-hoo. Like, we calling you out. So did you find that you were a little more busier or less than? How was it for you during the pandemic?
Listen, bring COVID back. Bring me another pandemic. It was... I know I'm not serious. I want COVID back. But it really was probably one of my most successful years. And most rewarding. Okay. That's when I truly saw how impactful I was for my clients.
I got you.
And the ones that they referred to me as well. There was some uncles and aunties that was calling, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for this. It's not what we're doing over here. You know, you probably can call,
somebody else.
TT off the block, but we do legitimate business around here. That's good, But it goes back to having that LLC set up already. If it was already getting some type of funding and working and things of that nature. All my clients, none of my clients fell short when it came to the pandemic because they were in place to receive the funding that they qualified for. Nice. And it was different, but I was able to get millions of dollars.
Awesome. For
my clients, and I was very, very happy about that. They didn't miss a beat.
Congratulations.
So that made me very proud. Yeah. On top of that, just the shutdown in itself allowed me to really tap into myself and my creativity, as well as kind of take a moment to just do some self-reflecting and also to gain more knowledge in areas where I hadn't had time before. So I was able to really pour into myself, and because of that, I was able to really be that vessel that my clients needed and the people that they referred. So I really, the pandemic was good.
It was good to you. That's good.
It was really good.
That's good. What's the most challenging things that has been for you? You got all of these different, I'm gonna call you like an umbrella LLC, because you offer so many different services. What's been the most challenging for you, Jay?
The most challenging, I have to be honest, is I get really invested. Okay. I get very invested.
You're 10 toes down. You're all in.
I'm all in.
Gotcha.
And I end up taking on so much from my clients, especially those that when I go in and I do, we do the discovery call, right? The introduction, where I'm learning more about your business.
Right.
And then I actually go in and I do a full assessment. I dig into, your all your financials, things I'm like just drop off the boxes, or the records. And I'm taking a deep dive because ultimately I want to know, how can you afford the service that I can provide you, right? And I want to be able to be flexible and curate a strategy based off your needs and really based off your budget. And so my budget doesn't fit everyone, and sometimes I have to tailor my budget to fit this particular client because I truly believe in what they have and what they're trying to offer or what they're trying to deliver. And it gets a little frustrating because sometimes it devalues your the work that you're doing, and it almost comes off as they're taking it for granted, or they're just not moving and working as hard as you need them to. And I get burnt out. And then it doesn't look so pretty because then it's like, now I don't care about the business or something like that. So I think the challenging is really that that's been my biggest challenge.
Okay.
It's really just, I just get very invested in what they have to offer. Yeah. And like I said, we're the goal is to grow with you. And I want to be able to save you as much money as possible so that you can take that money and just really be able to grow your business in other areas. And I call in favors and things of that nature, you know, so it's just like, I just get really invested, but it also can really, it burns me out.
I can understand that. Let me ask you this. What do you see as a challenge for most entrepreneurs? Is it that it's the money, their business isn't growing or expanding the way they see it, or they don't believe in their product, or they don't believe in themselves as an entrepreneur? What is some of the challenges you've seen?
For my African American community, it's really funding. It's really being able to lock down funding. They get very discouraged because not everyone come in being able to be their own personal guarantor, to get certain funding. And this is why we go ahead and try to put paperwork in place, and it's really based, at this point in time, it's really based on relationships. And you don't have to get funding the traditional way anymore of trying to get a loan. It's really just putting yourself in place with maybe just high dollar, associates that's needing to just invest money or they have a similar interest in what you're doing. Right. And it's really just connecting those people. I've babysit a lot of accounts before where I say I'm just babysitting money for clients, and they need something to do. They need the tax write-offs. They need to be able to find a foundation that they can invest into and things of that nature. So I also try to make those connections. But I think the hardest thing, and it's somewhat getting better, especially since the pandemic and all that's out there. But again, it's like, how do they obtain it? And they get, they want to tap out. Right. So it's really, I think it's the funding, and then it's consistency. Yeah. Just really getting people to get the spirit of procrastination off of them. Ooh. that spirit is sinful. So,
and it's real too.
It's real.
And I think procrastination, what drives it in some instances, is fear.
Very true.
I don't think I'm gonna get it anyway. I don't know. And so we got to learn to get out of our own way, right? Learning, that's a muscle that you got to work every single day.
Every single day.
Now, you mentioned sometimes that you might experience burnout, right? Just because you're in, you want to see people win as your client. Do you have a coach? Like, how do you stay motivated? Who pours into you? Is it your spirituality, or do you have a coach? Is it a network of people that are serial entrepreneurs like yourself that you kind of rub elbows with or talk to? Like, what keeps you going?
So this is something that I want to say, even up to recently, that I've been trying to be more present. Okay. The biggest thing for me is, it really is my spirituality. All right. I do take a lot of time to self-assess, self-reflect. I do a lot of small group sessions with church, in my church, which has been very helpful because they talk about spiritual warfare. Yes. They talk about entrepreneurship and how to cope within that. So I really appreciate those, and it has really helped me, along my career. And I do have a coach that is a really good friend of mine. But my biggest thing, and again, being transparent, because I'm not saying like I always have it together, it is just really being present. I'm a very private person, and like just now trying to get into the social media scene, because I've been really blessed by having business that is all word of mouth. I've never had to advertise my services for anything that I do, and that's been a blessing. But we're moving in a different direction.
A little bit, just a little bit.
It is, and it's not as sustainable. So I'm having to use the tool myself, even though I coach it about the social media aspect of it. But I mean, I'm 27 years in, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. But now I'm having to also say, hey, you know, I gotta also take my own advice, you know, coach myself to make sure that I become more present, and be seen as well. And also too, because I really feel like at the end of the day, people can truly learn something. I definitely have something to share, a story to share, and it hasn't always been pretty. You know what I mean? There are pitfalls, there are, you know, mountains that you have to climb, and sometimes you fall short and things of that nature. That's real. You know, and people don't like to show a lot of that real, especially on social media. It's all a facade oftentimes. And so for me, it's just about being genuine. Aida Duncan, Say Yes to You, is one of my good friends, and she's also my coach.
Nice.
So that's who I go to, you know, for advice. And then I read things as well, the people that I follow that they don't know I follow. I am Nikki Harris is one of them that I follow as well. And she is, actually went to school with her.
Wow.
And I think her background is like HR, but she is really motivational. I love reading her information on social media. And you just never know. Just sometimes you just get that little nugget and you read it and you sit on it. I take it, you know, and that is what helps balance. And I'm a Bella, aka grandmother. And so now I got 2 new little babies that
need you,
that need me.
They need you,
and I get to love on them. And you know, that helps me to, you know, continue to just, I guess, take all of that in that I'm dealing with, and then being able to just kind of like push it out.
And you know, it's fine because the line of work that you're in, you are a brand, but you're not a personality or a celebrity per se. And I think that your clients respect the fact that you're not everywhere on social media, because they don't want to feel like their business is going to be everywhere on social media. So I think that I think there's enough of you there to know that you exist. But you don't have to go any further than that. That's just my personal take on it. Social media is not for everyone, right? But that's where your creativeness comes in, because then you find different ways to get to the audience that's not on social media, right? Which are the blogs, which could be newsletters, which could be, like you said, word of mouth, which is the best, by the way, you know, versus finding people that you don't even know on a social media platform and then having to get them in your space or in your world. But I mean, you know, certain businesses and entities that works, that's the way to go. And then for others, it isn't. Right. So it's just, again, trying to find that balance. It's always trying to find the balance, which is very important. And I respect the fact that you being a serial entrepreneur, you know what works and what doesn't work. Like, I find that, and I'm going to go back to hairdressers. I used to have used to be permed long time ago. And what I realized was that it was one perm for everybody. And that's not the case. That is not the case. And so everybody is different. And so when you talk about a strategist or a coach, there has to be versatility within that person to know that each person that comes is different. Even if their business is something similar that we've heard others do before, the person that's driving it is different. Personalities are different. So I'm gonna ask you this, because we talked about more or less clients that are probably in a for-profit place or space. Do you have clients that are nonprofit? Do you work with nonprofit?
Yes.
I'm smiling because I'm a nonprofit. Yay!
I know. When I saw that, I was like, oh.
Yeah. So is it any different, or it's still the same kind of conversations as it relates to just understanding what the goals are for your nonprofit? And how do you help people monetize? Because it's a very thin line. I think that people feel that because you're nonprofit, you don't want money. But it takes money to do what you do, right? To sit here. It takes money to do this. Like, nobody's kicking you anything for free.
That is the biggest misconception. The biggest misconception is that just because you have a nonprofit, that there is no profit. Absolutely.
The money's got to come from somewhere.
The money has to come from somewhere. There is a service somewhere in there. You know, so else are you gonna,
right,
you know,
exactly.
There's not one way to raise the money. It's not all based off just donations,
exactly,
and things of nature. So you have to have certain things in place. But again, yeah, it does. The conversation is slightly different because there's also a lot of different compliance and legalities that come with that. So the conversation has to be different.
Yes.
And first of all, my first question is: are you compliant?
Yeah.
You know, have we paid our taxes? Have we, filed our taxes? Do we have a board? Are we utilizing our board? And that is, part of the conversation. Then it's like, okay, so what are we doing? What is the service that you're providing? And is there opportunity for you to collaborate with another nonprofit or even a corporation?
Yes.
In that sense. So we're having a conversation, kind of figuring out what area what area you're in as far as your nonprofit, and then how can we help to grow that? How can we give that more exposure without having to spend a lot of money, having a gala, big fundraiser, things of that nature? So we're using nonprofits for nonprofits. I think social media is a necessary.
Helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful. And then just engaging, making sure that you also have the right board, because your board is if we compiled of those that's going to help to grow and give that organization exposure. Yeah. And sometimes we have our board that is very silent.
They don't work.
They don't work.
So they don't show up for meetings. They don't do nothing.
They don't do nothing. Yeah. And sometimes you don't want them to, but that's against the rules. Yeah. So you want to have that board that's there and it's going to be consistent. That's like they believe in what it is that you're trying to do and what the services that you're trying to provide for your community, for your state or whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it's okay. So now it's like, for me, it's really the engagement. It's really the compliance piece of it, and how do we go in and again strategize how we're going to reach more people to be able to service the community that you're trying to service for your nonprofit. Gotcha. So it is a slightly different conversation.
Gotcha. I want to get back to some tips and techniques. We talked about initially, as soon as you feel you want to become an entrepreneur, start this business, having the LLC is helpful. Yes. What would be the next two things that someone would have? Let me add, I'm going to throw you a bone. Is having a business plan a necessity as an entrepreneur? Is that the next step for them, or is that down the road?
No, having a business, first of all, setting your goals and objectives would probably be, just really just mapping out, because you don't necessarily know exactly, what you want to do per se. Like I said, you may know, and then we do the LLC, you may be that lucky. But let's just say you didn't. Let's just say you really didn't have a clue as of to a full direction, a full scope of what you want, right? So we're going to go ahead and let's just get the business form. That's effortless. So we're going to strategize. We're going to come up with a great name, for your business, and we're going to make sure that it has the correct industry, NAICS codes and things of that nature. Right. And then I'm just going to again, that's the foundation of it all. We're setting the foundation. We're getting the LLC. We're getting the bank account. We're and I'm probably working on, are you a female minority, company? Let's go ahead and get apply for your certification for that. As a minority, like we're going to work on making sure that your foundation is strong, and then we're going to go in and just really just map out. What are some of the goals that you want? What are some of the business things? I take all this information. It doesn't have to be in any type of order, and I help you come up with that plan. So those are really the next steps. Like I said, it's just really just taking the hard work. I just need you to talk. You talk, I put the strategy together. You talk, I put the strategy together. So
I'm making all these sighs and stuff because I have things in place, but I was like, man, I could have used you years ago, because it was trying to figure it out on your own, right? And when you don't generate a lot of money you can't always pay for the service. Then sometimes you pay for the service and they ain't providing you no service.
They're not providing you the service.
You know, and so you're out. And so then you got to figure it out. And so, you know, filing for an LLC and becoming a 501c3 and getting a board, and you just don't know. You go to the Google guides. You go into Google.
Listen, Google is good.
You know, you try to figure it out. You ask different entities, maybe just how are they doing it? And it's like you really don't know. And that is exasperating. That is exhausting because you don't know how to really get this going. So it's great to know that there are people like you in place that can help guide people, because, you know, there are people that do want to pay their taxes. You don't want to get in trouble with Uncle Sam. Like, you don't want liens put on anything. You don't want your money being funny. You don't want to always do car deals. Like, you know, we gotta stop operating out the trunk of our car, and we gotta stop making deals on napkins, right? Right? And just our word, your word has to marry to a contract, and it has to show some legacy behind it, like some foundation. Yeah. And so I think, again, as people, because minority owned businesses in Georgia, 35% of them are Black people. So we do have a footprint here just in the state of Georgia alone that are business entrepreneurs. And so, again, just revisiting, right? So do you recommend also, too, Jay, that at the first of the year, I know you do it for yourself, that people go back and visit their goals? Because I think oftentimes we think we're stuck or we're trapped in what we initially thought. And sometimes your business evolves, like you decide to maybe pivot a little bit or turn. Is that a bad thing to do? Or
no, it's not a bad thing to do at all. That's corporate does it. Yeah. Yeah. It's like before the end of the year hit, before the last quarter, they're already forecasting how their budgets are going to go
for the next year.
Next year.
They do it in October.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes sooner. The conversation is already
happening.
It's already happening. They're trying to meet sales quotas, goals, and wrap up all that, what they need to do before the end of their fiscal year. And so you want to do the same and not wait necessarily to the beginning of the year. I mean, if you have to, you know, it's never a bad time to do it. Right. But you definitely want to say, okay, you know, you have good records, hopefully, of, you know, of what
receipts in the boxes. They got receipts in shoe boxes.
Receipts in shoe boxes. Let's put it in a spreadsheet. My goodness. And some QuickBooks. Yeah. And let's let's kind of see what could you have done differently. But you definitely want to go back and reflect over and just kind of see what worked, what didn't work, or didn't work as well. How, and if it didn't work that well, what did we miss? Right? And so it's definitely not a bad time. Sometimes you want to pivot. Like I'm pivoting. You know what I mean?
You adding something else?
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I really do want to just really coach more. I really want. Helping people is really is really my passion, and I don't want to get burnt out about it. Even when I left the career of doing hair, it's because I just really wanted to give the service away. I wanted to do it for free. I wanted to go to the shelters and do proms for young ladies and women who are just going back into the workforce, because that's what fills me. God has been so good to me. That's
beautiful.
You know, that it's just like, for me, I just want to give that back. And so I didn't want to get burnt out and be like, oh, I hate this. Yeah. I don't want to do it anymore. I knew I wasn't ever going to stay behind the chairs. And as good as successful as I was in that, I still keep up. I still get training in the latest and the greatest. I still look into what's new, the techniques. You know, I'll go to one of my girlfriend's salons and I'm like, let me get a chair for the day. You know, let me book a client. You know, so I still do that because it's where I started. I love it. It's going to be something that I always have and that I always continue to really nurture that skill. I was blessed with a lot of gifts, and I had to learn vary on how to balance that, because so many people was just like, oh, you need to choose one thing, or you should do, you know, they felt like, oh, you should really open a restaurant and cook, or you should just open up another
they'll
salon.
say something like this, you're just all over the place.
Yeah, or and they're just like, oh, you're just doing a lot,
You're just doing too much.
Or say something like,
yeah,
you know, you're Jamaican. I'm like, what does that mean?
You got 14 jobs.
And I'm like, no, everything is still under my umbrella.
Yes.
You know, I'm not doing anything
Yes.
different than I was doing when I was 10 or 12, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was the neighborhood stylist. You know, I was the party planner. I was cooking, you know, and I'm still doing, and I was saving money to help take care of my siblings and I still do that to this day. I have not changed. I just grew it. I just learned how to, you know, expound upon it. I got my training in it. I just learned how to really grow that and make it work. So I just think that, you know, it's definitely okay to pivot. I definitely want to get to the point for myself where I'm just really just going out and just really speaking more and just pouring into people and letting them know that it doesn't matter how old you are. Right. This is how we can start. We can make this process easier, where it's not as, you don't have to fear it. Like you have people here that truly want to see, you know, our community really be successful. People in our community be successful.
I know that's right.
So
I know that's right. Good stuff. I'm just like, this conversation was more for me than for anybody else, because all, you know, we look like we got it together, but we don't. When you pull the sheets back, there are pockets, there's areas that need work.
Yeah.
As entrepreneurs, personally, we wrestle with it almost daily. I've stopped, but it's like, am I really doing it? What am I doing? Like, you question, like, what am I doing? Like, is this really impactful? Is this really what I want to do? Is this you wrestle and you tussle with it, and it's very inspiring to know that there's help out here to help you. So before you give up on it, you have an opportunity to cultivate it, right, and get it to the next level. We say what next level is, but if the foundation isn't right, are we really ready for next level?
No, we're still working backwards. And I just say, don't work backwards. And then it's okay. Like, we fall short, and people need to understand that that's okay for us to also fall short. You know, sometimes you do have to take a step back. You have to reassess. You have to probably even just get realigned with your own spirits and things of that nature. And I do, you know, and part of that call when we really step in and we decide to get in this marriage together with this business, I need to know personally what's going on with you, because again, what you do personally also affects your bottom line. How you spend money, how you save money, you know, what's happening in your everyday life. Are you know, so we take a dive into that as well. All of that matters. You know, me understanding who you are as a person, and if I want to be aligned with that, you know, is my business gonna be is it attracted attractive to what it is that you're trying to achieve? You know, ultimately I want to see your vision through, and I'm gonna work dang on hard to make that happen, but ultimately we have to have a good partnership in order for that, and you have to be able to trust the process. You do. Becoming an entrepreneur is never an easy thing. For some of us, we look at it as an opportunity to break cycles in our bloodline, in our families and stuff like that, because of the type of work that our family did or not do, or the way that they lived. And again, we want better for our children or for our children's children. And so we're thinking this road to entrepreneurism is the way to go. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. It's not for everyone. It is not. And it gets people later in life. Like, I didn't get it until in my 40s, you know, late. Thought it was too late. I thought I was going to work for corporate America for the rest of my life. And I still work for corporate, but I need a strategy. You know, I definitely do. And I realized that corporate America, when I started, is not the same today. So it's changed. Right? The way it treats its employees is totally different than it did when I started. And so
it's time to definitely have different things or points of interest.
Yes.
I'm going to say keep it a buck and leave right there.
Yeah.
Different points of interest to just make sure that my living has not been in vain. Right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to start an LLC. We're going to talk about our goals for for our business. What are our goals? And then what would be the third thing that we would need to do?
It's time to execute.
It's time to go.
It's time to go. It's time to execute. Again, we're going to pray off that spirit of procrastination, and I'm not even going to say we're going to go at your pace. We're going to, my job is to coach you and to stay on you and say, hey, this is, and make it comfortable. Again, I take a lot of the pressure and truly a lot of the hard work. You just have to tell me what it is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think based on my expertise of which direction and how we should go. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to come up with a few things that you hadn't thought of. Okay. Right? So I can pretty much, blow the ink on that. Okay. So and then it's execution. It's execution time.
Do we need a vision board? Do vision boards work?
I think so.
Okay.
I think vision boards do work. Okay. I'm realistic.
Okay. Okay. That's the part. Yeah, okay.
It's realistic vision boards. Okay. We're not. It's possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But we're going to put a realistic. And for me, the vision board is our strategic plan. Take this strategic plan. Let's stick it on this vision board, let's go. And then we're going to continue to manifest the things that you truly desire to have. But we're going to put a realistic plan together.
I like
that's attainable.
I'm excited. I'm not even a client yet. Yet. I said yet. And I'm excited. This was good.
It was good. Thank you for having me, first of all, because you have no idea how this has been on my list of things. This is my very first podcast. I've had people talk to me about it all the time, but when I got the call, I was so excited.
I'm usually people's first.
And very nervous. I was initially very nervous about it, but I'm just like, I talk about this.
All the time. All the time.
But I know my words. I start tripping over my words and getting super nervous.
This is just what the people need, at least what I needed. How can the people find you, Jay? We talked about social media, but how can people reach you? What's the best way to contact you if they're interested in consultation or being a client, or maybe if they had a question? Maybe they want to be a strategist or a coach like yourself and want to talk to a like-minded person like you. How do they reach you?
So a few different ways. They can reach me by going to my website, which is KevinizZZ.com. That's Kevin, INEZZ, like the word Kevin, KEVINEZZ, and associates.com. And you can book a free introductory 30-minute call with me. And we can just kind of like break the ice. I can learn a little bit about you, and we can just kind of go from there. You can find me on social media at consultwith_J on social media, formerly consistent_consistent, but it's now consultwith_J, the letter J. And you can also, just the best way would be just to book me through the website.
Consultation. 30 minutes. That's nice. You can learn a lot in 30 minutes.
I can get a lot out of you in 30 minutes. I'm going to schedule
my time.
So please call. I'm just looking forward to 2024 being a great year for everyone. And for me, I want to know what this year means for you. Like for me, it's just redefinement. It's just redefining, what I already have in place and just making it better and tailoring it to where, again, I don't get overworked or, overwhelmed and just really truly be able to reach some of my other goals. I plan on tapping more into the international market with real estate and things of that nature. So I need a little time, little space. I can't, get completely wrapped up, but there's some other things, some other offerings that, people need that I want to be able to provide So it's for me, it's redefinement. What about you? What's this year
For
gonna be
me?
for you?
I'm standing on Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declare the Lord, which is plans to prosper you and not to hurt you or harm you. Plans of hope and of a future. So that has been my thing for 2024.
Okay.
It's just really standing on that and knowing that it is to prosper, to have hope, to have a future, and not necessarily be harmed in the process. And that'll help me get over any fears or procrastination, as you talked about, but getting out of my own way.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is. So I'm going to get out of my own way.
Get out of your own way. Well, I'm definitely here to support
I
you.
know. I'm going to consult. I'm going to get my 30 minutes consultation. This was great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Having me.
This was awesome. So listen, you know me, Real Chicks Rock. I'm everywhere. I am on Twitter. Yeah, X now. It's called X. I'm over there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I got the website. Come on, cop your t-shirts over there. RealChicksRock.com. Sign up, subscribe. We blog over there. We get newsletters. We doing all that kind of stuff. This has been great. But listen, you know how I always like to end the show. I love radio. This is my baby step into getting into the space that I always want to be. And growing up in New York City, we always listened to Frankie Crocker. He would end his show by saying this: may you live to be 100 and I live to be 100 minus a day. So I never knew that beautiful people like you had passed away. Until next time, be well, take care, and continue to rock on. There I go. Thank you for checking out Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next show.